During a high school class project, my teacher told me it's unrealistic being a CEO. It's been my dream to be a CEO since I was 10, so I told her it is realistic. Follow me on my journey to learn what it takes to become a CEO. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Realistic CEO podcast. Today I'm here with Lena. How are you doing today?
I'm well, how are you? Thank you.
So the first question that I want to ask you is, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what you do in your business as well?
My journey is I would say a little different, but my family had always cooked food for our community and temples, churches, and we traveled up and down the East Coast much of my childhood selling food at different festivals. So food has always been a part of our journey. We did have another restaurant in Central Mass, and our family owned that for quite some time. And I left to go to school for occupational therapy, nothing to do with food. And then I left. I didn't complete school. I did 3 years, and I started working in insurance. And I worked at a law firm for about 15 years before my family surrounded me once again here in Springfield, Mass. And we saw an opportunity to open up SouLao'd Kitchen almost 5 years ago now. So we're really excited about that. And that's how we are. That's where we are. SouLao'd Kitchen is the only Lao restaurant out in Western Mass and Central Mass. And we're only one of 3 in the state. So we take a lot of pride in being able to show our culture and our food through like our history and things like that.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you said you first started off, your family loves to be able to cook and they will always cook for people. So you not wanted to be a part of it, wanted to change your career, but then somehow made it back to the same career path that you started in the beginning. So can you tell us a little bit about how that happened?
Yeah, so we love to eat and we love to cook, and there's a big family that we have, so I don't think our family ever knew how not to cook for a lot of people. So that was just innate in us. I thought that I was going to go to school, and my dad said, go to business. I said, no, I didn't want to. And he was like, you should go into business. And I was just like, not interested. So I'm like, I'm gonna go take care of people. And I think after doing a few of when you're in school, you get to go out in the real world and work with different places and things. And I was like, yeah, I might not want to do this. I thought that I was going to maybe be like an occupational therapist and work with children and do things like that. And then I really learned that maybe I shouldn't be the one doing it one-on-one with them. And maybe I should do stuff that sponsors children's events instead, because I'm really stronger at doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? Let me be a part of the fundraising aspect of that. So
you said that you wanted to help people, but you didn't really want to do one-on-one, but now you're helping people by giving them the opportunities. When you said you're helping with charity, but you're also allowing people to come and enjoy your culture and also enjoy the food and learn about your culture as well. So not only are you helping people, you're sharing your heritage with others and allowing to express and make them feel welcome by coming here and eating food that they might not typically get to eat every single day. So you are helping people, just not in the way that you thought you wanted to help people.
Exactly, and I appreciate that, because I thought that maybe knew that part of helping people was always going to be something that was my drive. But I think that what I didn't realize when I started was, once we opened up the restaurant and we were able to meet different types of people, that gave us a platform, right? It gave us a platform to share that. It gave us a platform to show kindness. It gave us a platform to say, oh yeah, we have an opportunity. I have young boys, they're involved in the community. What can I do to help them and him be successful in whatever they're going through?
Owning your own business, when you're going into business and having, whether it's a business partner or it's an agreement that you have with another business, how are you able to make sure that you're working with somebody that is there for the right reason and rather than trying to take advantage of you?
That's a great question. It's really important to discern, right? It's really important to take a step back. It's really important to learn how to navigate really the pros and cons. And it really might be as simple as going back to writing down a list what are all the good, what are all the bad, and does one outweigh the other? And then when it comes to business, do these decisions help me make money? Or do these decisions help me not lose as much money? So that's a really big factor as to decide who and what and how we're going to move forward with our next step.
So let's say you didn't figure it out in the beginning, but you realize that this person that's either working for you or that you're working with isn't the type of person that you know goes with your morals and ethics of your company. How are you able to have those tough conversations to make sure that you're able to confront this person and let them know that this isn't the person I want to work with?
I think you have to go back to, why did we open up this restaurant? Why does it mean so much to us? Do they align with that? Do they value why we opened this up, that our people, our culture, our history is something that we have a lot of pride in, that we want you to own a part of it and be proud of it? Are you proud of it? Do you share that when you come into the restaurant, it's come into my house and eat? You know what I'm saying? Do you give that back? Do you have a sense of being so appreciative that when people come into your restaurant, you're servicing them? Yes, it's for business, but you are servicing them because there's a need out there that we need to fulfill. And is the other person falling short of that? And then is it a habit of them falling short of that? So you begin to see, oh, okay, maybe you're not the right fit. And it's not personal, but in order for me to move forward in what I find or what I believe would be successful, maybe you weren't going to be the part of that next step for us. But thank you for everything that you've come to do so far, and we appreciate you for what you have done so far. So I think it's really important to leave things on good terms as best as possible, but sometimes other people's goals may not align with your goals, and you have to look at the goal of the business and what would be successful for the entire business rather than for the individual.
As a leader of your own company, what are some important characteristics that you need to have to be a successful leader?
To be a successful leader, it's really important to know yourself and be confident in yourself and to trust yourself in the process. This has been a little scary for me to take on. We've taken on a whole nother business that's already been in business for 30 years. Living up to that legacy was really scary for me, but then I had to humble myself by saying, I've been a part of that legacy for 23 years by eating here. So in essence, I've helped build that culture. But in being a good leader is just going back to basics, being comfortable with who you are, being true to who you are, not sacrificing that or removing yourself from that, because then you start losing sight of the goal. When you lose sight of the goal, you lose sight of what's really important. Now it's, what am I doing this for? You got to go back and you got to say, what's my why? Where's my drive once again? And if you're not feeling that, then an adjustment probably needs to be made. You have to know when to say no. You have to know and call out what's not right. And then you're going to fail. And you almost have to continue to fail with this diligence, right? It's like this beautiful failure that you have to just wait to have happen, because if you don't have these failures, they're almost like free lessons to me, right? I take it down as a free lesson more than a failure. It's like, all right, that was free education for me. So I'm gonna write that and I'm gonna put that in my credit book, and I'm gonna say, okay, now I don't have to go and learn that again. You have to trust others. You have to learn how to trust others, and that's really hard to do, because sometimes you think that you're the only one that could do everything as best as possible for you in the business, right? But then it's personal and it's not business now. So I got to learn how to remove that from myself. So yeah, you have to trust yourself, you have to trust others. And I think that it's really important to surround yourself by really smart people and empower those people, right? What do you need for you to be successful? And that would then allow us to be more successful. So what can I do for you is how I would look at it.
I want to go back on a little bit. You talked about you were able to buy a business that was already in business for some years, and you weren't really confident about it at first because they've already been doing good. So what's the process of buying a business that's already going?
Oh, that was a bit hard. I think that we're extremely blessed Like I said, I had been frequenting this business for 23 years, so we knew who the previous owners were, and we got to know who the second owners were very well through their whole tenure. And they approached us, and they knew that we had SouLao'd Kitchen, and they asked us to purchase for Saigon. And we were really good friends. We continue to speak to each other to this day. So it's important, I think, and it's a little different that we knew each other, we support the success for both of each other, you know what I mean? And they were with us all the way. So I think that if it were anybody else, it might have been a little bit different, but they are really rooting for our success. And so they set us up to be as successful as possible. So when they approached us and asked us to purchase it, my first thing was like, oh no, I want to come in here and eat. I don't want to, I gotta work more, I'm tired. But so I was really scared. I was scared, like, can I live up to it? Can I do this? Are people going to like me like I love them? It was a real fear. And we're almost 1 year in now. So we're really excited about that. We have a really good, strong team that works really hard day in and day out to make sure that the day-to-day operations are successful, which then allows the bigger picture to be successful. Number one, are our customers happy? Number two, is the food good and did it come out correct? And number three, did we give them an experience that they're going to remember or come back for? So that's my big goal when we're here. And how do I just make the place that I love so much be better? That's my biggest thing. What do I do to give Saigon what it deserves? And how do I get people to love it even as much as I do? That's my guide right there right now.
You said you had a team that worked very hard in every day, making sure that the business is running. So how are you able to build a team and trust and get to the point where you trust them and you can rely on them to be able to successfully run the business even when you might not be in the building?
Yeah, so you get to learn people, you get to learn their habits, and you get to see what their strengths and weaknesses are. And when you work so closely with people, you get to know how well do you work under pressure. Once we're very busy, we're a very fast-paced place, and we want to continue to turn our tables. We want to continue to serve as many customers as possible, yet we need to be satisfactory. So how do we uphold that? And it's how well do you work under pressure? Can I still make the best dish possible in a good amount of time, even though I've got 20 orders sitting behind me waiting for this dish, but I need to focus on perfecting this dish. So one task at a time, trust in yourself, believe in yourself, instilling that trust and belief and giving your employees or your team the confidence that they could do that too. And over time, I think you're able to see that because we get to see when you're as strong as the weakest person on your team, you know what I mean? So when anyone needs help, everybody is able to step in where it's needed.
You talked about having a why and making sure that you don't lose sight of your why, or else you're just losing like your actual business and the main passion that you had before. How are you able to find your why and keep it even though you might be losing sight of it?
So I have two young boys, one is 11 and one is 3, and they're a big part of my why. And I think that the goal is, how do I balance out work so that I can be there for all the important parts of my children's lives? I'm extremely blessed. My mother, she is control of almost one establishment, and I have siblings who come in here and they help control a lot of the management. I have my father here who ensures that a lot of this runs smoothly. So I have my family that I can fall back on, and any one of them can step in and almost duplicate the role that I play when I'm not here. And that's why we're able to hold each other accountable.
You have your family, they're your team members. For somebody that doesn't have a family that can step up when you're not here, what are like some things that somebody can do to find those people that can help them step up as well?
You have a vetting process. You have to hire good people, and it's easier said than done. Sometimes you're going to have a high turnover rate. It's almost the nature of the beast, right? You're going to feel defeated. In one day, I may fulfill 10 different roles, and I won't even think about it until I'm home. and I'm just exhausted. And I'm just like, did I just run around and do every single piece of everybody's role today? And yes, I did, because you do what's necessary. And then there are those who appreciate you and see you, and they want to help fulfill that void where, okay, she needs help here, I think I can do this. And you start finding people, once you know what your weakness is in the area and in the business, and you find people to help fulfill that, and you start to see if their strengths are going to be where the void is at or not. And a lot of times you want to guide them and, work on process improvements with them. And you don't do it just individually, but we like to do it as a team so everybody understands, going back to you're as strong as your weakest link.
During the days that you guys are like your busiest, how are you able to make sure that you're staying calm and collected, because you know that your team members around you are going to be able to feed off of your energy?
Absolutely. I think by nature, I am pretty calm and I handle stress pretty well, and I thrive in this madness. I love it. I almost crave it sometimes. And I think it's a huge challenge for me. And I look at each challenge like, how could we meet this head on and be as great as possible at it, and how I could make my team members do the same thing. So it's pushing some of them, but then also knowing their limits. And when I can see when they're at their limit is when I can step in and provide the support that they need.
When they get to their limits, how are you able to make sure that when they're at their limit, they just take a little mental rest, but also they're able to work as hard as well, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Sometimes when you're working so hard and you're extremely stressed, you don't see it, and you might not even recognize that's what you're going through. But a calm person who's not going through it may be able to recognize that. So it's just diverting attention maybe. Hey, would you mind going to assist me with doing this instead? And that way it takes your mind off of the stress, gives you a little bit of time, you can reset, and then it's okay. You ready to go again? And then they're probably sitting there like, why am I not moving right now? Okay, you're ready. That means you're ready. You had time to reset and process.
How are you able to identify your teammates' strengths and weaknesses?
I think it comes with experience, and it also comes with being in this specific role. There's not one role that I haven't been in a restaurant. So I can easily identify where's the need at, and then can we fulfill that need? And then if we can't fulfill that need, how are we handling being unable to fulfill that need? So that's how I'm able to identify, okay, are they keeping up with what they need? There's needs out here. Are they keeping up? Are they not? Why are they not keeping up? Okay, where's that weakness at? That's where we need to walk in. And then at the end of the day, if it's not too crazy, I always like to recap and say, hey, we had an opportunity to do this. Is there something that you think you could have done differently, or is it something that you need support in?
If for somebody that wants to start their own restaurant, what are what would you say the important tools that you need, and also how much would it cost to be able to start up your own restaurant?
Starting up your own restaurant, I think it's really important to going back to your why. What type of restaurant do you want? What is your goal in opening up the restaurant, and what are you getting out of it? That'll help you determine how much is going to go into opening up a restaurant. With SouLao'd Kitchen, we just drove by, and on a whim, we said, hey, it looks like there's a for lease sign, and we're like, you want to do it? So we just pulled a little bit of money out of our pocket and our savings, and we started to build in November 2019. So just a few months before the pandemic kind of shut the world down. But it was interesting because at that time, I've had so much growth, and I didn't realize that I needed a team. You need an insurance company or an agent to help you. You should have an attorney to help you with the legal documents. You should have a banker that's on your side and that can look at, your numbers and see if it's feasible. Does it look like we could give you this loan? Even though restaurants, they find a little bit risky and they tend to not want to give as much to restaurants because of the volatility in our small margins. But there's one other one. We have a banker, insurance, you have the lawyer. I think I have one more that I can't think about right now. But those are the main ones because they're going to help you start your business, right? You want to talk to an advisor. You want to talk to a business advisor. See, I went in not fully understanding the numbers, I just knew that we made really good food. People come back to eating our food. We've been doing it for a long time, so we knew we had a product that was great. Then it became learning the financials of it. So I think it's really important to educate yourself. It's important to connect with the Small Business Administration locally. It's important to connect with any type of those business networks that would allow you to be successful, because they're going to then open you up to more opportunities as to who you should connect with if you feel like you're falling short of certain thing. If you're going to open a business from scratch, I think, like I said, it all depends on how big or small the business is. And as far as how much, you can start probably at 50,000. You can start at 150,000, and that's still very minimal. And then you have really big places that are like, they're probably bringing in lots and lots of money, right? And they might start at a minimum of 300 to 500,000. So it really all depends on what you're trying to do, how big you're trying to make it, what you have already, the knowledge that you have, what you could easily attain, and what do you think will be a struggle to attain. So those are really important questions to ask, like how much of this industry do you know? What type of a restaurant do you have? Who are your competitors in the area? Do you think that you would be successful? Has anybody already done this? Go do a little oppositional research, right? Go and eat at other places that may be similar to what you're looking to do. What are they already doing? What do you like about it? What you don't like about it? Can you have a sit down with them and see what works and what doesn't work, and whether or not they would, if they could start over, what would they do differently? So it's a lot. It's a lot. I think that I talked to a lot of different people who told me a lot of different and same things, but because I wasn't there in my career, I didn't understand and I couldn't process what they were saying because they were all new to me. It just looked like somebody gave me a human anatomy book and said, here, now go figure out how to take out a heart. So it was like that, and I was like, how do I do that? But you just, as time goes by, you pay attention to what's immediately important to you, and then you start slowly going at it, and you break down the different pieces of information, and you realize that, oh, these documents that they sent to me, this is where it goes in. And you start filling in these puzzle pieces as you go along.
In the book, Tony, he talks about the LBW, the long of lonely born work. So can you tell us about your journey in the LBW that you had to put in?
Those are long nights. Sometimes you feel alone, right? You feel alone. You feel like nobody understands you. You feel like giving up. You feel like you're defeated and nothing you do, no matter how great you feel like you're trying, is working. Those days are tough. And then you go back and you think, you have to go back to being humble and thankful, because at a time you prayed to be in this position. And how grateful am I to be able to wake up doing what I love, being surrounded by the people that I love, who support me, who come in and do the same thing that I do. We all work as one unit, and we're all driving toward the same success goal. And I get to teach my children that they have CEOs and business owners that they can look up to, where we didn't know that existed and we didn't know that applied to us, right? Never stop learning. Don't ever stop learning. Every day there's an opportunity to learn something different, right? I'm always training, I'm always learning, I'm always trying to research what I don't know, because there's always something that I can be better in. Those are those lonely, boring nights. I might be the only one in a class. I might be the only one listening to a podcast at 8 in the morning or 2 in the morning because there's something that I don't understand and I need to get it before we can move forward. Because realistically, if you're not making a profit, are you in business? So you want to do it and you want to be kind, but you're here to make money at the end of the day. So you have to go back to that and just say, am I doing it? Am I doing it for the right reason? Do I feel right about what I'm doing? Some things might not feel good. There are a lot of conversations that you have that will not feel good, but you'll know that it's right if the machine is still running and it's still working. And sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit for the better of everyone or the success of the business.
And those nights that you talked about they were long and lonely. What was like? How were you able to make sure that you were able to get through those nights and move on to the next day? It just didn't happen.
God, I pray to Him all the time, and I seek guidance, and I always try to bring myself back to being as calm as possible and as clear as possible. And if my heart isn't at peace, then what is it? If my heart's not at peace and I don't understand the picture that I need to understand, where's the anxiety come from? Then you got to break down, is there something that I could physically do about this? Or is this something that I have to allow to ride out? Because we can't control every single situation. So we then have to come back and say, what can I do? What can I control? And I have to find some satisfaction in that, right? Because if not, I'm just living a day where I'm just beating myself up and I'm never good enough at anything that I do. And at some point we have to say, but look at what you've done. And look at how far you've come. And you deserve to be proud of that. And if someone hasn't said it yet, say it to yourself, because you deserve that. And it's okay to be proud of yourself. And it's okay to know that you have done well and feel good about yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I think that we beat ourselves up quite a bit because we want better, but then at some point, do we realize how good we are already? And I think that's really important, and that's a good way of resetting yourself. Be able to say, I can do this again.
When you're beating yourself up and wanting better, but then on the other flip side, if you're uplifting yourself, how important is to make sure that you're able to keep it a balance so you don't feel too cocky or arrogant, then at the same time you're not just feel like you can't do anything because of how hard you're on yourself as well.
I wouldn't feel like I was cocky at all, because I just don't feel like I'm that type of person. I think I'm pretty humble, and I think that telling people how great they are is a really good thing, and telling yourself how great you are is a really good thing for you. When you're smiling, someone else is smiling too. And for me to just like resetting every day when I feel overwhelmed, I always say one day at a time, and that's too much, one step at a time. And when that becomes too much, just take one breath at a time. And as long as I'm taking that next breath and know that's okay, that's more than what you need. You know what I mean? That's how you have to bring yourself back and just humble yourself. Just be in your zone, be in your core. Are you okay right now? Yes. At the end of the day, I am okay. And I'm struggling to work harder, work faster, be better, and perfect everyone and everything around me. And I have to step back and say, I can't really do that. That's not within my control. So I have to learn how to appreciate everyone's strengths where they are right now.
What are some ways that you're able to grow your business and make it more in a way that the people can see it, and also it gets bigger with the profits as well?
That, I would have to say, that has a lot to do with process improvement. How do we streamline work? What type of activity is taking a lot of time and or money to complete, and how do we cut that in time, or how do we spend less money? In a restaurant, there's a few things that we'd look at. Inventory is one. What's our cost of labor? And then the cost of food is so high. We're always paying attention to our inventory. We're always paying attention to our pricing. We gauge this right now. Is it worth it? Are we paying attention to the season? Because seasons make a difference in a restaurant's life. We have some busy seasons, some seasons that are not as busy. So that's how we have to look at it. And you have to look at your past. What has your past looked like? And what were the trends? And that's how we would use that, because it's important to look at real numbers to see what we should do for our future numbers.
How are you able to build systems to make sure that they are not only working for you, but also make sense to the other people around you that are working on your team as well?
System building is huge, and it's very important, and there should be a standard that everybody is using so that when you're not there, it's written down and they know what to use as a guide. So that's probably the best thing to do. Like, if I'm not here, is my sister or my brother doing what I'm doing, so that they can follow through and use them as a guide to do the same thing.
When you're building a system, I want to actually get done with this. When you're building a system, what are like the main things that you're looking for to make sure that your systems are working for you?
Accountability. I want to know if it works. I want to know if I'll say, for example, over here we had used an old cash register, and I thought that was really interesting for as busy and as long as it was. And so we got an updated POS system. Now this system, it's going to be great. It's going to easily tell me, what do I sell the most of? What's the most popular dish? When is it the most popular dish? But more importantly for me is, how soon did my order come in? How soon did I take their order? How soon did I serve their order? And how long did it take that table to leave? That's really important for me because I want to know how much time should I be allotting to certain tables before I think that I can do and take care of another table. And that's how we make our money in a restaurant.
So like when you're serving people and like the customers, like how long would you say each table stays for you to make sure that it's not too long, but it's not too short to the point where you feel like they're not satisfied as well?
I think it all depends on the time too, because during lunch, people are generally in a rush because they have to get back to work. And then during nights and weekends, people take their time and they come here to relax. So my goal isn't to kick anybody out. So, it's to provide the best experience. But as far as the time go, I think they're here maybe 45 minutes. Sometimes they're here a little bit longer and they're just enjoying each other's company or being in our atmosphere.
What has been your favorite moment so far being able to own your own restaurant?
My favorite moment? I think it just all goes back to calling my mommy for food. It's like, you can't go wrong. I think that's the best thing because, when we don't feel good, when we're stressed, when we're overwhelmed, or you just call mommy and it's like magic. She fixes everything without even saying anything. It's just, I'm hungry. You guys are going to get to enjoy that too.
What has been the difficult parts of having to run a restaurant?
Working with mommy. No, but we've worked with each other before, but once again, it's hard when they're family. So you know each other because of home, but you haven't quite learned about each other professionally in a career. So you don't really know exactly where everyone is at in their professional level, right? So everything that I think that everyone should know, it may not be true because they didn't experience what I experienced. And I have to learn how to not be so personal about that and be more professional and say, okay, this applies, this doesn't apply. Can this wait? Can this not wait? And then it's, I can't yell at my mommy. So how do I tell my mommy that maybe that's not a good idea? So it's just learning how to be more creative, I think. And it really is a big joy because I get to be around my family that much and we're really close anyway. We get to talk a lot of smack, hold each other accountable, tell each other when you're not that great right now, you know what I mean? But it's like, all right, just feed me and I'll work on it.
If you were to go back 5 years and give yourself some advice to starting a restaurant, what is something that you would tell yourself?
You can do it. You can do it. You've been doing it. You know this stuff. You know what's good. You know what's not good. You know what's right. You know what's not right. And when you don't know something, you know how to find out. You can do it. Believe in yourself. I think that's the most important thing. Just really having that confidence in yourself, and you can break down any barrier that you think is in front of you. Just knock them walls down. You got this. Forget the walls. They don't even exist. Just go. Just do it. Just do it. And you got this. And the right people will come along, exactly at the right time. And you can go far.
I got a couple more questions.
Of course.
So one question is, how are you able to balance your work and also have enough time to make sure that your family is also getting attention as well?
So that was really hard because I needed to make sure that I had somebody in place of me so that I could show up to, let's say, my son's basketball game or something like that, or I'd have to be able to leave. Sometimes there's nobody here and I just have to zigzag like a maniac. And those are probably my most realistic days when I have to run around and get my children and get back to work when they get out of school or whatever, and get back and make sure that I'm here before the rush. those are my days, right? That's just the madness that I have to do to keep things going. But you do what you have to do for your family. And sometimes some things may be a little delayed, and that's a personal sacrifice that I have to make for the business, right? Or a business sacrifice that I have to make for my personal life. But you get up and you gotta do it. My family is really important. Like you said, we do this for our family. And if we don't stop just a little bit, like, it's okay. You have to say it's okay. And you have to know that it's okay to put certain things on pause. And even though certain things don't get done for a really long time, you know that your health and well-being is really crucial, and it's really important because you can't pour for an empty cup. And if mommy isn't well, then anyone around mommy is probably not going to do too well either.
What advice would you give to me to become a realistic CEO?
For you to become a realistic CEO is to continue working hard, being diligent, believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself, especially on the days when you don't want to get up, those LBW, right? When you don't want to get up, those are the days that you should show up. You really need to force yourself to get up during those days, because sometimes you learn something outside of what you thought you were going into because your mind isn't in the same space, and you can appreciate something else that day. But believe in yourself, trust in yourself, empower others around you, and you'll continue to be a realistic CEO.
Thank you.
Successful one.
Thank you.
We're rooting for you. Thank you so much.
The last question I want to ask you is, what is one fun fact about yourself?
Fun fact about me?
Yeah.
Let's see. I love writing poetry.
What's your favorite type of poetry to write?
Type of poetry? Gee, I don't know. I write a few different excerpts. It's been some time, I think, but I just like writing poetry about, what I'm going through, or certain feelings, or certain events. I did write something, I remember a long time ago, about being a proud Lao American. I thought that was cool because I was born in California, but I was raised in the East Coast. So I support all East Coast sports. And I still proclaim that I'm a daddy's girl, even though there's 6 kids, 4 girls, 2 boys. I'm the favorite. I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, just have fun in what I do, and just wake up and find a purpose in what I do every day, I think is really important.
Thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of the Realistic CEO podcast. See you guys in the next one. Peace.